actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Welcome to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and Medium Kellee White.
Two perspectives, one world.
This is Both Sides Now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy New Year, and welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And I'm Medium Kellee White.
And John, our engineer,
Hello,
is
hello.
here.
I'm here. I'm a little bubble above your heads. So, so
Little
happy New
bubble
Year.
boy.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So how was everybody's New Year? Oh, and you were going to tell us a little bit about Mercury retrograde, which is why we came on a little late
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
today.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll start with that. Yeah. Actually, Mercury went retrograde January 5th until it goes direct on December 25th. I'm sorry, January 25th. So it will last until January 25th.
So explain to our listeners who don't know exactly what that is a little bit about it.
well, things will break.
Uh-huh.
Contracts probably should not be signed now
Until the 25th.
until after the 25th of January.
And is that because the energy is kind of haywire?
Mercury
or?
is the fastest moving planet, and planets don't really go backwards. But
Okay.
what retrograde does is it slows way down. And so you'll things that computers will break or television sets will go out. This isn't a time you'd buy a car. This is not at a time you'd make a major purchase.
Okay.
Things to watch. If you're headed for an airplane, it may be late.
Oh, so just expect delays with anything that has to do
Exactly.
with technology or motors or
Technology,
anything
you
like
bet.
that. Yeah.
But it is good for a lot of things.
Oh,
It
okay.
is actually good for if you're writing. It's great for writing. It's great to go back and take a class. It will bring you back to a place of, for instance, an old friend may show up again in your life, an old person in your life that you've known. So it's good for those things.
So because you're saying it slows the energy down, then
Mm-hmm.
you have more time to write and to not
Yes,
more time, but your mind maybe will be
Yes, and also you're not going to feel like doing much actually. Mercury retrograde it's when Mercury is direct, you go 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 go. This thing everything takes a little more energy to do.
okay.
It's the kind of the time where you may want to hole up even
Really? Kind of
Mm-hmm.
nesting.
nesting. Yeah, which is funny because we've got the beginning of a new year, which traditionally would bring in a lot of energy.
Right, right. That's so interesting. Well, yeah. So it's the first show of the new year. You were actually back in your farm, which is why we didn't do a show last week.
It was great. We have a farm in Wisconsin, and it was so fabulous. I got to experience something that I have never experienced before, which is called freezing rain.
Oh my God. Freezing rain. Isn't that called snow?
It's what I thought, but I'm
Yeah.
from LA. That's what I thought too.
Right.
It's a little different, but it means the same thing. It's a snow day. You can't leave the house. So for me, it was the greatest day of my life. Oh, it
Because
was
you were
great.
forced to leave the house. No guilt.
No guilt.
No excuses.
Nobody could come over.
Oh, that's
I
so
couldn't go anywhere. And so do you know what I did? We had a fire going and I
how
made
nice.
homemade bread. And it made homemade challah bread, actually. It was incredible. And so when I need some peace this coming up year, I'm actually going to reflect on those days. This was 2 days of just really quiet, lovely being alone with Don. And it was just heaven. It was really heavenly.
Nice. How
Yeah,
nice.
so I had a
So
very
you're gonna call
relaxing
it-
time.
Your mental health days, you're going to call it freezing rain days.
Freezing
I'm
rain
taking a
days.
freezing rain day.
I love it, Cheryl. Yes,
That's
I
hilarious.
will.
How was your New Year, John?
Mine was good.
Yeah?
Yeah. We did a New Year's party here on the air. So we brought
That's
in the New
right.
Year's on the air. So it was good.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that. I just don't like to go out on New Year's.
I don't blame you.
I stayed home and had a nice little quiet evening at home watching Kathy Griffin and Anderson Cooper. I love how she makes him laugh, and I love his giggle.
I love
He's got
him.
such a sweet little giggle that it cracks me up. So I do that on New Year's. Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah. So let's talk about New Year's. And
Yeah.
let's talk about, because I know you have some wonderful information for us about what 2016 can look like, will look like, or what's the significance if you add 2016 up, it's a 9, and what the 9 year is all about. So let's talk
You
about
bet.
that, and then we'll talk about New Year's resolutions.
All right. So this year, 2016, is a 9 year. It's a very significant year for the world.
Yeah.
It means to complete things. It means that things that you've begun in the last 9 years will have been completed. So let's say, for example, you're writing a book. You will complete it this time. Let's say you've started. You're about ready to start a business. You will start that business.
So in other words, you will or you should. I mean, because certainly you have to put it.
You have to put the energy into it.
Yeah.
I think the energy is going to bring you to completion. It's
I
going to
see.
actually propel people to think about the things that they've wanted to do and actually do them, to complete them. So you know how people put things on their back burner? It's on my list. I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
This is a
yeah.
year where you'll bring out that list and go, wait a minute, I need to complete it. The energy is going to feel like you're going to take charge of your life this year.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah, means completing unfinished business. Number one. It also means letting go of things that are no longer serving you. So let's say you're in a relationship that's no longer serving you.
Yeah.
You're going to make some probably significant changes. Let's say you're in a job that's not suiting you. You're going to make some significant changes. I would say put out a list of pros and cons about, should I keep the job? Should I not keep the job? And even with the relationship, look at your soul. Get in touch with what your soul is saying to you.
Yeah.
Should I stay in this relationship? Should I stay with this job? Really, really listen to yourself. It also means selflessness this year. Selflessness. So next year, it will be a 1 year. A ones bring selfishness. It's just me.
Okay.
But a 9, there were so many significant leaders, spiritual leaders that were born with a 9 life path. Gandhi was one, Yogananda was one, Mother Teresa was a 9. My mother is a 9.
Really?
Yeah, some big
How
spiritual
do you figure
people
out
come in
the
with that.
the
You add your
number?
birth dates up
Yeah,
together.
your birth date together.
Your
okay.
month, your date, and your year.
Oh, okay.
You add them all together. But 9 means charity, to do charity work. So you'll find that you may feel a calling to do something good for somebody else this year. So
okay.
it brings that kind of thing. It also is a time to consider whatever is not working for you, you're going to change, and bringing in new ideas that will help you move forward. So it's a real significant year.
Wow.
And there's also a payoff at the end of the year, or at this year for people, as a 9 year. So if you have been working on something for a long time, this is a year there would be a payoff.
Oh, wonderful. Wow.
But for us, we're going to be doing teaching.
Yeah.
And it's something that we have been wanting to do and talking about doing.
Yeah.
And so that would be, a change for us, an ending for us to do that.
Right. So an ending is maybe the end of the preparation for it and
Yes.
actually doing it.
And actually doing
so
it.
it's not just an ending where you're not going to actually move things forward and create new things. It's an
No.
ending of maybe the preparation of it. Is that
the
what you mean?
preparation of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something that's been in your head, something that you've been thinking about doing, you will just
Oh,
do.
I've got a ton of stuff.
Well, yeah, you're doing a lot of things. Yeah.
It's nice to know that this is the year that they're all going to come.
And that also means that the year will give you the energy to do it.
Yeah.
Too. You'll have the energy.
That's,
to do it.
that's a really neat thing to just be aware of.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And for, again, I always have this idea for the skeptics out there, maybe now we're putting it in your mind, but who cares? If you do feel the energy and you do it and
Right.
you move forward, it doesn't matter whether it's imagined or real, I mean, it really doesn't, know? People, there's so many people that kind of want to argue about that, and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. So what number? I'm curious now. To what number? What are our numbers? You said a 9 or a.
If
me
I
see.
remember correctly, you're a 10.
I'm gonna.
You'd
that
be a 1.
one? Though?
You'd be a 1 if we reduced it. Yeah.
Okay. So wait a minute. I'm gonna add it up because then I want to add John's up. So we have a 3 plus a 1 plus a 1 plus
Yeah, I
a
believe
9
you're-
plus a 6 plus a 6. I'm an 8.
I don't know. Hold on a second,
Wait a
Cheryl.
minute. What's your birthday, John?
So mine is 320.
So 3 plus 2. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, 3 plus 2.
Yeah.
And then what's the year?
The
Oh, you
year?
don't have to say it on the air.
No, 7 and then 5, so 75.
Okay,
Oh, so you were
7
in
plus
75? So
Yeah,
you were
so I'm-
22.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're a 22 year.
Yeah, so
And
and I'm going to
why
break
is
down
it-
to 11 as far as my,
No, wait a minute. No, so you're March 20?
320.
320.
and
So
then
that's
75.
a 5. And
then
6, 7, 8. You're a
19.
9, John.
Yeah.
You're a 9. So this would be a real significant year for you.
Still be a good year, yeah.
Very
some
significant.
people are calling it Sweet 16.
Now,
A
how'd they
sweet
get that?
16.
2016, Sweet 16.
Oh, I never thought of
so
that.
Sweet
Oh, that's
16.
fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And Cheryl, you were born in 68. Is that right?
66.
Oh, 66. So you're a 22 also. Oh, boy. And I'm
Wait, I
also
got-
57. I'm a 22 also.
Why did I get 20? Why am I getting 26? Well, we shouldn't.
So it's good that you're
I
doing
ended
it
up
on the
with-
air because then people who are doing it at home probably are having the same issue. So you take the numbers 3,
No,
2,
you're an 8. You're
0,
an 8. I'm sorry, I had the
7,
wrong
and
year for you.
5 for me. So 3, 2, 0, 7, 5. Add them up and then you break
But
them
wait,
down.
don't you add the 1975?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's maybe the problem.
So
Actually.
what's an 8?
Power.
Oh,
It's a power number.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, funny that
very
you should
good.
say we actually finished at the end of last year, but Steve, my old co-host, Steve Rohr, and I
Yes.
have our book coming out in March.
Great.
Scared Speechless. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's a great title,
about
too.
The, right. Well,
Yes.
Steve came up with it.
Yeah.
He's so witty.
Yes, he is.
About the fear of public speaking. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. And that's something that you'd been working on last
We'd been
year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it'll come
So
out
it's
in March of
coming
this
out in
year,
March of
right
this
around your
year.
birthday.
Yeah.
This is
Mm-hmm.
perfect.
Yeah. And I'll be 50 this year, you guys.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Whoa.
The big
Join
5-0.
the club.
Feels. I'm gonna have a disco party.
Tony
Really?
hit 50.
Yes, I-
Tony hit 50 this year too.
Wow.
Did he really? No, he didn't.
I'm sure
too
he's
young.
listening,
He's
so that's
a
why I'm
baby.
saying it.
He's a baby. Yeah.
No, he hit 45 this year. So yeah.
But yeah, so this year is going to,
Or
I
last
think,
year.
from what you've told me, is
December.
going to bring a lot of wonderful changes. So I think it's important for people to keep that in mind. And if you notice a different kind of energy around any projects that you've been doing, go with it. Don't question it. Don't be a left brain like me and question it. Just go with it.
And
Yeah.
and actually, when you go with it, finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever
Yeah,
that
yeah.
anything you've had in your mind to do it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
do it.
A year of completion.
Year of completion.
Exactly.
Tying up the loose ends, which is interesting because the new year falls, meaning that this is Mercury retrograde. It's all about going back and finishing up past projects and things like that, and so you get a fresh start. So it's giving you a little more time for the new year to
It
start.
actually
right?
is.
Slowing things down. Yeah.
It will slow
Yeah.
things down for that.
Because I was like, ugh, Mercury retrograde starting a full new year. I'm like,
It
I
is-
don't,
it's
I don't
confusing,
like that.
isn't
but,
it?
But when you go back and look at the positives of it, it's a good thing.
Right,
So,
right.
And
Yeah.
that's so interesting, and I guess not a coincidence that it would help you slow things down so you can start to complete things, which is what the year's about.
Which is what the year is about.
how interesting.
And it's actually organizational month. January, the whole month of January is organizational month. National Organizational Month. Yeah. Yeah.
All
like,
right.
awareness and all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
to help organize your things.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that there's this great book about getting rid of clutter and tidying things up. I can't remember the name of it. Maybe you can look it up as we go. It's a
Mm-hmm. Okay.
bestseller. Every person that I work with who's read that book says it's an incredible book.
Oh, get the name
yeah,
of that.
Yeah. So we can.
Is that
we
one
can
of your
put
New
that
Year's
up for you.
resolutions?
No, it's not. And I was curious about New Year's resolution, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why we wanted to talk about it today. Is because why do we set them? How did it come up? And I did a little bit of research, and I guess it came up in the Babylonian days. It was like for the gods to be kind to the gods, and so the gods then would give people a nice year. And then, of course, the Roman Catholics took it over, and it became more of a religious thing and that kind of stuff. But there's something about the beginning of something, like the beginning of a new year, that gives people this kind of wanting to change things from the
Oh,
past.
yeah.
and
What's the
start
book called?
new.
The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up?
Yes.
There you go.
That's it.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Thank you, John.
I just did
You're so-
declutter bestseller. I figured, hey, it might
Yeah,
pop
there you
up. So
go.
there you go. So
Yeah.
it's Japanese art of decluttering and organizing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's supposed to be an incredible
Oh, can you
book.
put that on the site for
Yeah,
us?
yeah, I'll put it up.
That
on
would
the
be
screen.
great.
I'm a little the opposite of a hoarder. Because of my left brain, things need to be, so tidy. I mean, my Sydney's father used to joke and say, "Why don't you let the dirt hit the floor before you clean it?" But I was, born to a mother who wouldn't let us walk on the living room carpeting because she wanted the vacuum lines
Oh my goodness.
to stay perfectly from week to week. And I'm like, what's the purpose of that room? Why can't we even walk in it? But, of course, we know how to be from what we observe.
Right.
And I'm a little that way too. So I'm kind of the opposite of
I picked it up from my mom as
clutter.
well.
Yeah, yeah.
I miss that.
But I'll tell you.
Did you miss that memo? Wasn't there?
But then you kind of rebel when you get older because you're like, I had to do it all as a kid, so now I'm older. I'm gonna just do my own thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I only clean up when people come over.
Well, you kind of take it on. Like I'll notice Sydney,
Yeah.
doesn't really do that much, but
Yeah.
like when she's at somebody else, when it's her own place, or when I'm gone for the weekend, all of a sudden it becomes this, thing, which I feel a little bad because she is a little extreme on it too. But whatever. If that's the worst. But we set them up for a sense of self-improvement. We want to improve, and I think where people sometimes get into trouble is that we're changing or improving on something we think we should improve about ourselves, and not necessarily taking the time to think about, okay, is this what I really want for myself?
Okay.
And so that's an important thing to take a look at. Is it what I think
Do
people
it for ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. And you had, when we were talking about it earlier, you talked about not setting yourself up for failure. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, what my thing is if you could just choose one thing, how would that affect your life? If you could make one change, significant change, how would that affect your life going forward? And you don't want to do too many things. You don't want to say, well, I'll do this, and I'll do this, and I'll do this, and I'll do that, because then you are going to set yourself up for failure.
Right.
And then you're not going to do any of it.
Right, exactly.
So you don't want to do that. In my case, I decided to go really with clean eating and a clean diet. I don't even like to use the word diet, but to feel better and to have my energy go.
Yeah, you
get
can
through
use
the
it like
roof, which I'd love to have.
a healthier, cleaner eating lifestyle instead of
that's it exactly.
Yeah.
And I really put my mind to it, and I have been sticking to it. I know it's only day 10 now, but I really have been sticking to it.
Well, it's interesting what you said. I've put my mind to it because that's what they've seen. What happens is if we don't turn this change into a habit, then we forget about it and we kind of go back to our old ways of being because that has become a habit. So from a neurological standpoint, the way to do that is you have to be purposeful and conscious, So for example, you're clean living. Of course, then when you go to the supermarket, you're purposeful and you're thinking what is clean, and that's in your mind and you're focused on that, and that's then how you choose your produce and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In the morning when you make
My green drink.
your green drink or you're preparing your meal for the day, your lunch and your dinner, you again think purposefully, okay, what can I eat for lunch that's going to be clean and that's going to be healthy? So it's always in your mind whenever you're trying to make that change.
Yeah, it's a consciousness.
Absolutely. It has to be conscious because that's then starts to stimulate new neurons
Interesting.
it stimulates new neurons.
Okay.
And what the neurologists say is neurons that fire together wire together. So if you have a new cluster of neurons firing together, eventually they start to wire together, and that becomes an easier thing to do. So in the morning, then say a month from now, you'll wake up and you'll automatically go, okay, I needed more greens today, and I need this, and I need that, and you'll just do it because it's become a habit.
Well, that's how I started my meditation years and years and years ago. That is exactly how I started the meditation. It is so hardwired into me now. I mean, it's been 10 years. No, I'm sorry, almost 15 years that I've been doing meditation.
Wow.
And that's how I started it. It was the same way. It was that approach that I'm going to sit and I am going to meditate and I'm going to connect. And it was so strong in me, it never wavered.
Yeah, it
that
sounds like
is
you were
what
so
happened.
focused into doing it every day.
And that
Yeah.
energy is the same energy I'm putting towards what I'm doing now. It's the same thing. I can actually feel the neurons as you were describing that.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's kind of like brushing our teeth. I mean, who literally thinks about brushing your teeth? It becomes part of the nighttime routine. Right? We don't even think about it. We may be thinking about it while we're doing it, but it's part of the routine. I don't have to think, oh, right, I have to brush my teeth tonight, right? Well, it's the same thing. Doing it over and over and over again, it becomes habit. And so that's how I think people need to take a look at the New Year resolution. Pick one thing.
Just one simple thing. It doesn't have to be a huge deal.
Yeah. And once that becomes a habit because you're very purposefully doing
Yeah.
it. Put an alarm on your phone, whatever it needs to be, to get you to remind you to do it so you can be very focused and purposeful. Then it becomes habit. Then you can choose something else.
What would you say some psychological changes would be for a person to aspire to?
Well, I think first noticing where you're at from a psychological standpoint. I mean, are
Okay.
you content? Or in look at your lives. What are the three big areas in an adult's life? It's family, work, and career. I mean, I'm sorry, career's work. Family, career, and
Relationship?
and relationships. Right? So family could be part of a relationship, but not necessarily. Family could be more our family of origin. How do we get along with mom, dad, sister, brother kind of thing. And relationship is usually a significant other, right? So you look at those three areas and you think, is there an area? And let your body tell you if your mind isn't fully aware of it. When you think of your spouse or your partner, what do you notice? Do you notice a tightness or do you notice a calmness? If you notice a calmness, then things are pretty good in that area. Then go to career.
I had somebody the other day explain to me about a relationship that every time he was around this person, he had what he called a hot flash. Now, he's a young guy. He's only not even 30 yet. But I thought that was such a great
Wow,
description, a
that
hot
is.
flash. In other words, I had him describe it, and he said it's such high anxiety that it actually comes through like a hot flash.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make sense?
That totally makes
Boy,
sense.
so I was just thinking with what
Yeah.
you were saying, that if
Yeah.
you're in a relationship that brings you a hot flash,
Right.
and not in a good way.
Right, exactly.
Whoa.
Exactly. Then it's time to take a look at it. And so
Mm-hmm.
begin to kind of deconstruct it that way and try to stay away from judgment or criticism.
Mm-hmm.
And just you're exploring with curiosity. You're just being curious. You're kind of going on a curious exploring, venture.
Okay.
And so that's how I would start. And so if it is relationship, then maybe therapy is a way to go, is something to change that will help you psychologically. If it's career, maybe going to a coach.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, or even before that, doing some research. There's a wonderful, the Myers-Briggs test that I'm sure is online that you can take it, helps you identify kind of your character structure as it goes to work, like introvert versus extrovert, meaning, so if you're an introvert by nature, you probably don't want to go for a job that is about, party planning or, publicity, or because you have to be out there and you have to talk and you have to, So getting to know yourself at that level can be really nice. So maybe starting there,
Okay.
And
also, another New Year's resolution for somebody is if they have been single for a long time, maybe they want to partner up.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's hard for them, maybe they can get a friend to help them kind of sign up for just one, dating site.
A dating site, or what do they call that group? Meetup group?
Or a meetup group or something like that.
Or do something, with like minds. Join a spiritual group or do a yoga class or something like along those lines.
Right, exactly. So just find the area that maybe, as you're talking about from a psychological standpoint, that brings up, not so comfortable feelings in your body, and
Right.
and think of one thing that you can do to maybe
Okay.
change that and go more into the direction that you would want it to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
John, do you have any ideas that you wanted to change for this year or any resolutions?
Well, I was thinking a lot about like how I spend my time and so especially my evening time, because that's when I'm up the most because I'm nocturnal.
Yeah.
We were just talking about
I
that
know,
earlier.
I know.
Yeah, so and so that's when everyone else is sleeping. So there's not a lot of people to interact with, so to speak. So what do? I go online and I start searching for things, and I pull in a lot of my ideas. All my ideas are flowing a lot during that time. So I need to make better use of that time instead of just taking all that information in. I needed to start writing it down and start doing stuff with it rather than just letting it all come in and not really do much with it, because then I get overloaded, if that makes any sense. And
sure.
then that's
Yeah.
probably why I stay up so late, because I don't sleep, because I'm taking all that information in.
Right.
Does that make sense?
right.
So,
Well, that would be a great idea.
but that's when
because-
all the ideas are coming at me too. So it's the inspirational moment, because that's supposed to be your dream times.
Right.
so if you had even just a pad of paper and you start writing things down, then
Yeah.
you're getting them out of here and onto the
Onto the paper
and
and
that
out of
might
my head.
then calm you down a little bit to get ready for sleep.
Right, to sleep and also to follow through with the ideas because
you'll remember them. Yeah.
I'll remember them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's I go through and I'm Googling and I'm reading stories and I'm scrolling Facebook and taking in all this information all the time. So, and some of it comes out in shows and things like that, but as far as like, I think of what to take together, to put this together, that together, to make something more amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, ideas that, like...
Well, you have really great ideas, too. You're very
I
creative.
just need to follow through with them. That's the thing. And it's like, how do you get some of this stuff started that you think about all the time and and would be great ideas, and eventually someone comes along and does it because
Right.
you snooze, you lose.
Well,
But,
and so be curious about what about the follow through? So, for example, if you were in my office and you were saying just exactly that,
Yeah.
I would say, okay, imagine, pick one idea and imagine following through. And what are you noticing? And the body will always tell you what the mind may not be aware. Maybe you notice resistance in your body and you notice yourself starting to do this, and kind of going backwards. Okay, let's explore that resistance because, you know how to follow through.
Right.
I mean, it's not stuff that we don't know. There's a reason why
Right.
it's happening. And so it's really kind of getting to that, deconstructing, getting it to the bottom of that reason. Sometimes just understanding the why of something opens it up.
Yeah.
Because then we feel we have more choices.
You think it would be a good time to meditate, though. It's night, it's quiet, and all of that. I don't really meditate, Kelly, so I don't know what it is about me with meditation. I think sometimes I tend to want to do an active meditation, so like when I'm washing the dishes or I'm in the shower or something like that, but to actually just sit there and to quiet and go into that space, I rarely ever do that. So.
Were you ever diagnosed ADD?
I never was, but people wonder if that's what it is. And with this job, as you can see, the listeners and the viewers can see, I've got all these different screens
Right.
and shots and things like that. So it's like, for me, that's a lot of times why I'm not on cameras, because I'm constantly doing stuff
Right.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
Which is a good ADD
Yeah,
person.
which is a
they
perfect
can do 5
ADD.
to 10 things at once. It's perfect.
Yeah.
But on Char's show, we talked about starseed souls and things like that, and she, the lady that was on, was saying I'm a parallel, so I'm in different universes
Oh, that's
Oh.
interesting.
simultaneously.
Okay.
So on a spiritual perspective, I'm in this world, but I'm in other worlds at the same time. So it makes sense why I'm sort of just all over the
And
place.
then in your time, then maybe 2 or 3 in the morning or whatever
Yeah.
active, the time you're active.
That's
That just
when I'm
may
more
be
active
it.
in the world,
Yeah.
in Earth.
It may
On
be.
Earth, right.
If that
Or
makes
just
any
maybe-
sense.
Or it's time for yourself. I
Yeah.
find, because I'm a night owl too, and I find that that's the time for me.
Mm-hmm.
So whether I'm playing on Facebook or
Yeah.
it's the time that I actually want to post, and I'm like, oh, if people look that I'm posting at 2:00 in the morning, they're going to go, what the heck?
Why is she up? Yeah, yeah. No, I
But
think
that's-
the same thing sometimes. I think the same things.
Yeah, that's the time for me where
Mm-hmm.
it's just about me and what I want to do. So I'll read an article,
Yeah.
I'll do Facebook, I'll just
Yeah.
do whatever I want, and I
Yeah.
enjoy that time. It feels really quiet and
It is, and it's a creative time. It's a very creative time,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I go into watching movies, watching TV shows, which helps me with this job because there's a lot of stuff I need to be up on. So I see it as actually being work, but or work related, let's say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I need to be doing something more productive with my time
Okay.
in terms of making ideas a reality. And I'm thinking, I'm spending a lot of times on these dating sites, browsing and viewing and things. I want to create more mixers and things like that where I'm actually getting to know these people face to face.
So
Yeah.
a nice question to ask ourselves when we know what we want to do, but we're not doing it.
Yes.
Like you're saying,
Yes.
is what gets in my way?
Mm-hmm.
What gets in my way of not doing that? And that's sometimes when we sit and we just think about.
Overwhelm is the first thing that comes to me. Overwhelm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then maybe for you, it may be a good idea to write down everything that you'd like to do and then just pick one.
Yeah.
And just start with that one. Because sometimes if it's all in our mind, it can feel overwhelming. And when we write things down, it gets it out of here and on paper.
And onto paper.
And
It's
then a
overwhelmed
checklist.
with the amount of what goes into making that idea a reality. So it's starting at one thought at a time, too, is what you're saying. right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Is organizing it for yourself. So
Yeah.
when it's in here, sometimes it can be very disorganized because we're jumping
Oh,
from one
yeah.
thought to another to another. And we've had to, and I've had to too. I mean,
Yeah.
there's another book that I want to write, but when I was working on the one that's coming out with Steve, I had to put the other one aside because I kept thinking about that and I kept, okay, no, today I'm going to do this. And then I wouldn't do anything. So I said, okay, no, I need to finish this one first and not even think about the other
Yeah.
one.
Right.
And then now I'm going to start thinking about the other one because this one's done. So
Well, the interesting thing about that is too, when you go to write, Shirley, that that comes in, that energy starts to come in. You are going to have a lot of ideas that start to come in.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 4 or 5 ideas that constantly come in. But if you can just sit down, write them down, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1, however you want to write them out, eventually you will get to all of those.
Yeah.
Oh, you will.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just opening up that channel, then whoop, it starts to come in.
Yeah, yeah. So to help clarify, especially if you find yourself wanting to do the same New Year's resolution that you did last year, ask yourself. It seems like a very simple question, but it is very profound. One of my people that I train with, Dr. Larry Heller, is the one that uses it for his type of training, and it's what gets in the way, what gets in your way.
Of completing
Of
a New Year's resolution?
when someone comes into your office and say, I have terrible time with follow through.
Yeah.
What gets in the way what gets in your way? Why is it difficult for for you to follow through on projects?
Yeah.
So asking yourself that.
All right.
And it really kind of slows things down. I mean, didn't you kind of feel like a slowing
Yeah.
of, well,
Just
wait a
now.
minute? Because you kind of never really ask yourself
Yeah.
that. You're just complaining about what you're not getting done or
So
what you
true.
can't do and what gets in my way. Oh, wait a minute. Let me think about that for a minute, right? So
Yeah.
it kind of slows
Right.
things down.
And once you discover what gets in your way, you can actually talk to the universe and say, all right, I need some help with this. I need some help with this, universe. Can you move that out of my area? For instance, for me, the last couple of weeks, I really needed the rest. I needed to just rest. And I remember saying to the universe over and over and over, I need to rest now. It's not that, believe me, I didn't create an ice storm, but it was a lovely way to rest.
But I think that
Maybe you did manifest
maybe.
that.
Yeah. But I think that you were able to notice it as an opportunity to rest. When we don't put things out there, you could have had the ice storm happening, and in the house, you could have been just as busy and kept yourself just
That is
as busy.
very true.
But putting into words, I need to rest, I think maybe gave you the ability to be aware of when the universe presented you with an opportunity to
Like
rest.
just now.
Right? Like just now with sorry, I thought I'd turn off my hook.
No, it's all good.
So it allowed you to notice, oh my gosh, it's what is it, raining
Freezing rain.
freezing rain
Yeah.
outside. I'm going to use today to rest.
I am
And
gonna
that's
do
what
it.
happens when we put things into words. It gives us the opportunity to notice when the opportunities it gives us a chance to notice when the opportunities present themselves. Whether it's the universe giving us those opportunities or it doesn't matter,
Is that the same as when you make a list of, you make a list for the day, I'm going to do this and this and this and this, my to-do list. It's something about the energy of even writing that down.
For people who tend to have anxiety, it helps because, like we were just saying with John, if it's too jumbled in the brain, you feel overwhelmed, and it kind of causes a freezing, and you can't do anything, or an overwhelming. You just kind of, ugh. So if you write them down, it gets them out of your head and more organized on a piece of paper, and then the idea of doing it and then checking it off helps organize that and helps you become more proactive.
Yeah, and feeling like you completed a goal, so then you feel rewarded
Exactly.
for your behavior, and then you continue to do it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Positive reinforcement, is that what it is?
And well, yeah, it helps with positive reinforcement. We also, we tend to not keep track of the progress. When we set a New Year's resolution or a goal, something we want to change, we don't keep track of it. And that is just as important as keeping track of what we're not doing. Everybody knows what I'm not doing, what I'm terrible at, what I, want to change but haven't changed. We all know that.
So what's a good way to keep track? I mean, how about if we did every, first of the month? Where are you with that New Year's resolution?
Yeah.
I don't know. Some sort of a monitor.
Accountability.
Whatever works for you. It could be at the end of your night, you write down, 3 things you did to keep with your goal, which then again focuses it again in your mind, or it could be at the end of the week. Or it could be that, if it's writing a book that you want to accomplish this, if that's your New Year's resolution, every Sunday night or every Monday, what time, how many hours in the week are you setting yourself aside? And start with 1 hour. If you have a very busy life, just start with 1 hour a week. Again, don't set yourself up to fail. Right. Do 1 hour a week, and you set it up. And then at the end of the week, you can say, did I accomplish that goal? So you're going over. Even if you're just sitting in front of your computer screen thinking of ideas, it doesn't matter. But you've isolated that 1 hour a week to do something towards your goal. We don't spend enough time focusing on the good stuff and the positive stuff and the accomplishments.
It's true.
We're always thinking about what we're not doing, what we haven't done,
I guess I'm always thinking, what do I have next? What do I have next? What do I have
or
next?
what we want to do.
Because in our life, Shirley, you know, we get these phone calls constantly. You know, we're bombarded all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I think for me, one of my New Year's resolutions is going to be to take time for myself.
Yeah. So it's helping yourself also to narrow it down, because that can be a really broad one. What does that mean? You know, in your life, is it realistic to do something once a week? Is it realistic to do something once a day? Take time for yourself, 10 minutes a day. What's realistic for you? So let's explore that.
I think turning my phone off at 9 p.m., and turning it back on at, say, 8.
But you know what?
That's a big one for me.
That's setting boundaries, right?
That's setting
Yeah.
boundaries.
As simple as that sounds, you said, I want to do something for me, right? No, what did you say? You want
I
to
want to do something for me, to take care of myself.
take care of take care of yourself.
Because I enjoyed it so much those 2 days
Right.
of peace.
So your New Year's resolution is you want to do something to take care of yourself. The first thing you're going to do is turn off your phone at 9 o'clock and turn it back on at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I would suggest that with the idea of being purposeful, put a little alarm on your phone at 9 o'clock. When it
that's
rings,
a great idea.
You turn it off. You don't even think about it. You turn it off and you turn it back on at 8. And then at the end of the week, you kind of maybe monitor, wow, was I able to do that every night? And of course, everything isn't perfect. Let's say someone has an emergency, right?
Right.
I have a thing on my phone where I turn it off, but there's actually, as much as I dislike the iPhone, there's a little thing in there that if somebody calls you repeatedly, it'll go through.
Really? I did not know
So
that.
I tell my patients that if there is an emergency, call me 2 times in a row, and so it'll ring through.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because other times I've got it beeping and buzzing, and know, so that might be something. You know,
That's a great idea.
So, but those are wonderful steps. It seems very small, but it's not.
It would be really significant for me.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to be able to keep my own energy for the whole year. I'd like to be able to just keep it, and I was telling one of my clients yesterday, don't tap out. In other words, you don't have to give all your energy to, your corporation or whoever you work for, whatever, all the time. You can keep some for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to plan on doing. We'll see where I am next week. I might be tapped out.
Well, but it's really up to you. You have to be focused and you have to
Absolutely.
be purposeful.
Right.
And if you're not, then it's not going to happen because it's not a habit that you have already to turn off your phone.
Right. Right.
It's really turning in. I mean, if we want to really use just concrete words for it, it's turning your New Year's resolution into a habit. If
That's
it becomes a habit, you will do it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't become a habit, you will fall to your old ways of being because those are habits.
And the other thing that comes up too, Kelly, is that you're meant to in your maybe your practice as a psychic medium to be of service, and also in your practice as an MFT to be of service. So you have in your mind over and over again to be of service.
Right.
So maybe what you need to think of when you go to that time for yourself is that you're refilling so that you can be more of service for others, but at the same time you're treating yourself.
I love
you know what I
that.
mean?
Yeah.
So that way you can refill your well so that you can
Right.
give
So
it
I'm
to
doing
others.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For
And I'm
others
looking
to
at
help
Kelly, by the
myself.
way, people. You don't see me looking at her because
Oh, yeah, we're
this
seeing the
whole
back of
thing
your head, the
is
way
in
the
the
whole
back
thing
of my
works.
head,
Yeah.
or you see me looking.
Well,
yeah.
but I
So-
love that you're saying that
Yeah.
because to be of service
Yeah.
also includes ourselves.
Right.
To be of service to ourselves, and that's what you're talking about is
That's
to
what I'm
be of
talking
service
about.
to yourself.
Yeah,
We have this.
that's true.
I have people that come in and say, well, that's selfish. If I want to, we've associated doing for ourselves and taking care of ourselves with
Yeah.
selfish, and selfish is a word that means we're doing something that's not.
of help to others.
Well, that it's wrong.
Yeah.
The word selfish inherently in it is it's wrong.
Yeah, that's
Right?
why I learned the word self-centered, which is centering in oneself for oneself's needs in order to be of service if you need to be, but at the same time you're refilling your well, so you're self-centered versus selfish.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and self-centered has also kind of been used with the word narcissist, and he's self-centered.
No,
or
I
she's
know it could be a
self-centered,
negative
and,
term, but if you
yeah.
if you flip it, think about you're centering yourself and spiritually, like you're bringing yourself to center,
Yeah.
and you're focusing on your needs versus the
Yeah.
needs of other people.
Right.
But eventually, it refills you and gives you that energy so that you can be of service to others.
Well, and it's all about balance.
Yeah.
You know, we're not taught
Boundaries,
specifically.
yeah.
Well, and we're not taught specifically to do for ourselves either. We're always taught to be empathic to the other. How would that person
Yes.
feel if, we're teaching,
Right.
which is wonderful things to teach our kids, but we don't balance it out with it's also important to do for yourself. And that's
Yeah.
what you're talking about
Yeah.
is to do something for yourself, to be of service to yourself as you are with others, and you need that recharging of battery. So you
I do.
need to turn everything off, let's say at 9,
Yeah.
and then turn things back on at 8. Yeah.
That and a clean diet.
There you go. Okay, so that's 2.
I have 2.
Plenty.
So I stop there,
Yeah.
Cheryl? Is
Stop
that enough?
there. Stop there until those 2 become habit.
Okay.
This is a
Then
therapy
you
show
go
for
on.
us all, and hopefully the listeners are getting a lot out of it too, because I'm sure a lot of it applies to their own lives and with a lot of things that we're talking
Well,
about.
it's
Universal themes, really.
Right. It's tough. We don't ever, anytime we think about ourselves,
Yeah.
it's been so overcoupled or associated with selfishness, with being selfish, with not thinking of others. And it has to be balanced.
Yeah,
It
self-care,
really does.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
self-care is so important.
Right. Right.
I noticed in my, my somatic training, it's all about self-care.
Uh-huh.
And I used to remember, looking at the participants that would come in with like a whole bunch of pillows and blankets and all this self-care and the
And you're
water
like, what are we
and
going,
this
camping?
and the that and every little is this okay?
Yeah.
And I used to get so pissed.
I bet you did.
It would
yeah.
bug the shit
Yeah.
out of me.
Why?
And I couldn't understand why. I'm like, why does that person bug the shit out of me? And of course, part of the thing is, I remember one of the exercises, go with the partner and think about
Yeah.
one person in this room because we all know we have it that bugs the shit out of you,
Mm-hmm.
and just take it to the body. Notice what comes up as you think about that person. And we did it, and up came up with how dare they're able to take
care
such
of
good care of
themselves.
themselves when
Yep.
I can't.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
that's what was bugging
Yeah.
the shit out of me. I was
Wow.
projecting what I couldn't do and getting mad at them for being able to do
Yep.
it.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, don't get mad at me for taking care of myself. I can't
I
reach
hope that
Kelly.
I've changed since then. I have.
Yeah.
I'm able to say no when I really don't want to do something, or if I need something, even as simple as, do you want some water? No, I'm okay. No, I really do want
That is
water. So
true.
thank you. You know, I'll take water. I mean, it was
Yeah.
even down to little things like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is why I think my response was so visceral and so extreme.
Yeah.
You know?
And being a Pisces, that's really interesting, I think, for you. That's very
Yeah.
interesting that you would feel that way. I mean,
But you were going to say something, John. I didn't
well,
mean to
no.
interrupt.
I was just gonna. I knew you were about to say that, which I don't know if that was an intuitive thing, but I like that you were getting angry with them because that's what they're doing, and you should be doing that for yourself. So
Yeah.
at the same time, I think that's interesting because again, you're a Pisces of being of service. You picked a career of being of service to other people to help them with and help humanity as a result of being of service to them. It's the ripple effect. And you're both doing the same.
Well, I'm a Virgo, and I have to be of service.
Yeah. So it's just
So if I can be of service to
Well,
myself
right.
in order to help other people, that
Yeah.
would be a
Yeah.
huge thing.
And it would be ironic and fairly really hypocritical if I'm, or if we're out there teaching people how to be kind to themselves, but we're not doing it for ourselves.
Yeah.
That's just.
And you've tapped more into your right brain, so the left brain was like, I don't like this. So when you tapped more into right brain, that the feelings and the stuff came up, right?
Oh yeah,
So-
it's all about
Yeah.
my somatic experience
Yeah.
training. Which we're talking about projects this year. I'm doing a documentary on Peter Levine.
Yeah.
And
That's
somatic
right.
experiencing because it needs to get out there. I mean, it completely changed my life. I had no idea what emotions were, what feelings were. It was almost like learning a new language. It was like, well, they would say, how do you feel about that? Well, I don't know. What are you noticing in your body? My stomach is tight.
Yeah.
Okay, what might be the emotion?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's anger. Maybe it's anxiety. And it was really like learning how to, how to walk
Yeah.
like a little kid learns how to walk.
And maybe that's why I'm a little resistant to it because of what you just said. So you were resistant to it at first, and then it eventually
Well,
became more easy for
not
you.
resistant. It just I didn't know.
Okay.
It was like learning a new language.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it was resistance, more so than I just didn't know.
Maybe that's what
do
it
you
is.
mean?
Maybe I'm calling it resistant because I don't
know,
know. But for
yeah.
me, it makes me uncomfortable to think I have to tell you, identify what feelings are coming up for emotions that because I don't know if I really. I mean, I know I feel because I get the stomach aches and things like that, which we
Right.
talked about. But at the same time, I think I'm all in my head a lot too, which is the ADD or whatever you were
Yeah,
talking
well,
about.
it's kind of, we don't realize how disconnected we are
Yeah.
from our bodies, you know. So it was more like, you know, feeling what? What do you mean? What's a feeling? You
Yeah.
know. So yeah.
We
it was-
intellectualize our emotions, maybe.
I think when we don't have parents who know how to attune to that,
Okay.
we shut them down because we early on, even as babies, before we even have language, we realize, oh, my needs are not going to get met, so it's better that I don't have any, and we just kind of shut it down, and then needs become a source of shame if I have a need.
And then it eventually turns to pain, so you actually act on it. Like
What turns into pain?
Well, like the painful sensations, that's when you really know where the feeling's coming from. Like, for instance, I get these horrible stomach aches sometimes, and I know that that's related to anxiety and
Well, because feelings are energy.
Yeah.
And if we shut them down and we don't feel them, that doesn't mean that they dissipate and go away. The energy then kind of almost gets stuck in there.
Yeah, or a
And that's
headache
why-
or something,
exactly,
yeah.
that's why-
Migraines.
yeah.
Right. That's why we start to get physical manifestations of, you know, stuck energy.
Energy.
Of whether it's the fight or flight response when there's a, you know,
Right.
or feelings.
And I was talking to a friend about this who's dealing with a lot of anxiety issues, and I was telling him about the somatic stuff that you do. And I always use the example of how the in the wild the animal shakes it off.
Right.
And we
Right.
leave it stuck in our systems.
don't know to do
yeah,
that.
and we don't let the
Exactly.
trauma go. And,
Right, right.
and that's something that's always stuck with me when we talked about that.
Yeah,
About how they
yeah.
just shake it off, you know, just like that song Taylor Swift, "Shake It Off."
Shake it off, shake it off. But that's true. And if we were to slow it down, like even after a car accident or something, if
Yeah.
we were to slow things down enough, we would notice our body just doing different things. Even if it's an internal, sometimes we just feel an internal shaking or heat, you know?
And just
And
breathe.
If we just let our body, if we slowed it down enough and just let our body do whatever it needed,
Yeah.
then that is part of the process of getting rid of that energy that,
Yeah.
you know, that came up because of a traumatic kind of impact on us. So yeah, but you were always very good in touch,
Emotionally?
very in touch emotionally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they ever feel overwhelming, like when you were a kid?
Probably because I used to have a lot of anxiety. So probably
Yeah.
it would have been overwhelming
Yeah.
as a child because I came in with a lot of like I'd walk into a room, as we've discussed a few times, I'd walk in a room and I would know what everybody was thinking and feeling, and I thought that was normal.
That's the empath, though, right?
That's the empath.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as an empath, I feel so much energy that when it comes in, and that's another reason why I need to refuel and
Yeah.
to turn off the phone and to,
Right,
just
exactly.
to regroup
Right.
and bring my energy back in for me.
Yeah.
And also, if you didn't have someone helping you normalize that and how to shut it down or how to give it back to that person, if you walked into a room and knew who was pissed and who was, you know, and didn't kind of know how to, even from energetically, I would think, you know, give it back so you could be the separation, you would take it on and
I
not know
did.
what to do and feel overwhelmed. I
yeah.
mean, that makes total sense.
It was.
It is.
It was
overwhelming.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
I
it really
bet.
is. Like you can be in a really just fine mood, and all of a sudden you'll be on the subway, and then you get
Very
off the
true.
subway, and you're just so either angry or really, really depressed, and you wonder if it's something that you thought about while you were on the subway. You don't realize sometimes that's some energy of someone you took in
Oh, absolutely.
while
Yeah.
you were on the subway, and you're like, that's not my stuff, and you got to tell yourself to let go of it. That's not mine. And when you take a deep breath and let go of it, you actually can detach from it. But if you don't know these practices, you think it's all you.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you say that. And
Yeah.
what is something to share with our listeners that they can do before going into like a big group of people? Because I know that you've taught me some things that you can do. Just since we're talking about it
So-
now, why not give it to
Yeah,
them?
yeah, you can. So, if you're about ready to walk into a group and you don't know what's going to happen, really
Or the
put
subway.
or the subway,
Yeah.
put a tremendous amount of light around. Just visualize a lot of white light. And I like to use white light. Some people use other light. I love the white light, and I just visualize it just like an egg shape around you. It's very just visualize heavy visualization of this, and say, all right, universe, help me walk through with peace.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Yeah.
good one too.
And if you forget to shield, then you ask your guides to
Yeah.
remove anything that's not of you
Mm-hmm.
out of your auric field.
Out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's when you feel that detachment, or that you feel like you can come back to center.
Yeah.
To center.
Yeah.
So going back to and just finishing up with our, how to stick with the New Year's resolution, I think another thing that I think you would agree with, because you just said about imagining, is using imagery.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine yourself having this new behavior, we'll call it that, as part of your daily repertoire, like, like for you shutting your phone off at 8, or for you following through on some
Yes.
projects. Imagine yourself doing that or accomplishing that. There's so much power in imagery.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my case, I am imagining that soon, tomorrow. No, I'm going to say in the next few months, I'm going to have a tremendous amount of energy. So I think like that. I think I'm going to be really clear and have a tremendous amount of energy. So that is a huge thing that stays in my
Yeah.
thought process.
Yeah. Well, from a brain standpoint, the primitive part of the brain doesn't know the difference between real or imagined. So when we're imagining something, the body is reacting as if it were real, which is why there's so much actual power in imagery. It's not just something that we think, there is real power in imagery.
Right.
Which always makes me wonder, how can they say that these movies aren't affecting us because we're watching these images on the screen?
Well, they are. There's studies that show that aggression goes up. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that because I feel more aggressive after watching like a drama that I'm going to go out and do something.
Yeah.
But maybe my driving is a little bit more aggressive, and maybe nothing happened, and I didn't get into a car accident. So, but it does.
Yeah, it could be immersive.
Yeah.
Like,
And don't use all or none thinking. If, for example, if tonight you forget to
Right.
shut it off, don't think, and I know that you wouldn't, but just to use that as an example.
No, you're
okay,
right.
well then, you know what? Forget it. I'll start again next year or something like
Yeah,
that.
no.
Just, okay, so last night it didn't happen. Today's a different day. A lot of people have that all or none thinking. And one last one that I want to point out is don't tell anyone what you're doing if they're a Debbie Downer.
So true. Stay away from Debbie Downers.
Yeah, know
Maybe
your-
that should be a New Year's resolution.
Right?
right?
Know your audience, and
Right.
if someone is going to Debbie Down or something, don't tell them. Tell them after the fact. Tell them a month later and say, "Hey, last month, I whatever. I meditated every day. How great!" Instead of "I'm going to meditate every day,"
Or
whatever your goal is.
How about say nothing and then have people walk up to you and go, "God, you look great.
Yeah.
What are you doing?" Well, I'll tell you.
Exactly. Or at least only tell the people that are going to be supportive, not the Debbie Downers.
Right. Because that takes away energy, and you do not want
Yeah.
to lose energy.
No.
As you're going through making these changes, you want to keep as much positive energy towards yourself and towards what you're doing than ever. So remember that. It's a great topic. Great tip, Cheryl.
So we went a little longer today just because we started late, but thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. This year we decided that we're going to do a takeaway after every show and just a little tidbit for people to remember and take away from the show. Why don't you give it to them?
All right.
Kelly?
Today's tidbit is, if you just changed one thing, how would that affect your life?
Yeah. So food for thought. Thank you for listening and watching, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo Dr. Shirley and Kellee White.
Two perspectives, one world.